Welcome on the cosmic atom. Have you ever wondered why it aches so badly? Why is it that even when everything seems to be in order, you have a persistent weight in your chest, a sense that something is amiss? Maybe you've tried everything: meditation, advice from pals, ignoring the agony and pretending to be okay. Nonetheless, the agony lingers like a shadow, quietly following you. So, I'm going to tell you something that no one else has had the bravery to say until now. The majority of your misery is not caused by external factors. It emanates from inside. What you do not want to see comes from the part of yourself that you have abandoned. Carl Jung, one of the most famous psychologists, once observed that what you do not bring to awareness returns to you as destiny. And this is precisely what is happening to you. Life is trying to teach you something, but you are not listening. You rush away. You mask it with diversions, addictions, and meaningless relationships. You convince yourself that it will pass. But doesn't it? Because the suffering does not want to be ignored. It wants to be understood. This video is not another piece of low-cost self-help stuff. I'm not here to provide you ready-made sentences or magical answers. I'm here to provoke you, to force you to confront what you're hiding, even from yourself. Please give me a few minutes of your time. Just that. And I'll show you why you're suffering so much and how this might be resolved. Not with trickery, but with awareness. Perhaps you are at the bottom of the well right now. Perhaps you're on the edge of a breakdown, smiling on the outside and screaming on the inside. Perhaps you've learned to live with the agony as if it's a part of you. Whatever the situation may be, I've got a harsh truth to tell you. Suffering persists solely because you have not yet got the guts to confront its source. Jung committed his life to charting the dark landscape of the human psyche. He understood that only those who go into their own darkness may discover real light. So, if you're prepared to go through this with me, I guarantee you one thing. You will be a different person after seeing this film. Because what you learn here has the potential to dramatically transform your understanding of yourself, your suffering, and your liberation. Let me begin. You feel you are suffering because of others, including your employer, spouse, a lack of money, societal pressure, and the world's expectations of you. Of course, all of this weighs heavily. But is it true that you still don't grasp what you need to know now? Suffering, the type that paralyzes and aches even in quiet, occurs when you detach from who you really are. According to Carl Jung, the greatest tragedy of the soul is living someone else's life. And this is precisely what you're doing. You were trained from an early age to fit in, be accepted, and adhere to norms. You slowly moved away from yourself. You became a persona designed to please. A puppet is used to prevent bothering you. Silence your wants, suppress your emotions, swallow your fury, and smother your misery. And now you're carrying a grief you can't even identify. Pain that swallows you rather than screams. This is the pain of people who live in isolation. The anguish of someone who looks in the mirror and no longer recognizes themselves. You've become acclimated to the role that was assigned to you. But the soul feels. It feels as if it is living a lie and starts to scream with anxiety, sleeplessness, indifference, and guilt. Emotional agony is the soul's warning that you are betraying yourself. Make no mistake, failure does not hurt. It is the erroneous expectation you have of who you should be. Loneliness does not harm. When you are alone, you feel emptiness because you no longer know who you are. It is not the other person who is causing you harm. It's you. Every time you forsake yourself to keep up an appearance. And as long as this gap continues, pain will persist. Because you're attempting to treat an exterior wound when the roots are inside you. But here's the main thing. This pain is a warning, not a punishment. Jung thought that pain was the first step towards change. Pain exists to bring you back to your genuine self. And this journey starts when you stop fleeing and start listening. Listening to what has been buried, hushed and forgotten. In the next section, we shall discuss the most destructive but freeing power in the human brain, the portion you dread the most, yet contains the key to your recovery, is what the Jung called the shadow. If you genuinely want to end pain, you must acknowledge and confront it. If this information makes sense to you, click the subscribe button to follow the channel. Thank you for your support. You wish to end your agony. However, you continue to combat the symptoms rather than the root problem: anxiety, guilt, rage, and grief. You regard all of this as an adversary, as if it were defects that must be removed. But you don't realize, or maybe refuse to believe, that the ultimate adversary isn't outside of you. It lies inside, quiet and concealed. And there is where the risk is. Carl Jung referred to this concealed aspect as the shadow. Don't be tricked. Everyone has one, even you. The shadow represents everything you've suppressed, concealed, or denied about yourself. Your unwanted impulses, prohibited emotions, suppressed wrath, quiet sexuality, ambition disguised as humility, and anxieties you pretend not to have all contribute to the darkness. But they're still there, living in the dark. The more you ignore it, the more dominant it becomes. You recall occasions when you raged for no reason, destroyed an excellent chance, or terminated a good relationship on an impulsive decision you couldn't justify. That's the shadow at work. Jung said that it infiltrates your ideas, manipulates your emotions, and changes your choices all without your knowledge. Until you make the unconscious aware, it will govern your life, which you will refer to as destiny. Do you believe that suffering stems from ill luck, karma, or injustice? Perhaps your shadow is ruling you, and it will continue to do so unless you confront it. The difficulty is that confronting the shadow demands guts, since it will force you to acknowledge things you do not want to accept. You'll have to look in the mirror and reveal what you've always attempted to conceal. You must stop playing the victim and recognize that there's a monster inside you, but it is also human. That it's also you. But this is the most crucial element. The darkness isn't your adversary. It is a portion of your soul that has been banished. And like any renegade element, it just wants to be seen, heard, and incorporated. Jung did not believe in removing the darkness. He felt that accepting it would lead to strength, insight, and power. Because what you reject weakens you, but what you incorporate sets you free. In the following section, you'll learn what to do with this shadow. Now that it's in front of you, we'll discuss the route of bravery, which marks the beginning of true healing, and how to take the first step towards reclaiming your fractured spirit. Because seeing the shadow is just the beginning. Everything varies depending on what you do with it. You've gone this far. Face the reality of your estrangement. Looked into your shadow's eyes. And now comes the important moment, the confrontation. Understanding what is causing your misery is not enough. Understanding is the first step, but healing involves action, courageous, honest, and sometimes painful action. Because you'll have to do something most people never do. Keep your eyes wide open when you cross the interior hell. Carl Jung was clear. Few people have the fortitude to go along the road of self-discovery. And this boldness does not imply the lack of fear. Even in dread, confronting the unconscious is like wandering into dark country over which you have no control. It is removing the mask, abandoning the victim role, and admitting that a part of you contributes to your own misery. This takes ruthless honesty. It necessitates that you stop lying to yourself. But what does it mean in practice to confront the unconscious? It entails beginning to pay attention to what your body is saying while your mind refuses to listen. That stomach agony from being with the wrong person. That tightening in your chest that appears when you accept another scenario that weakens you. That strange tiredness that arises whenever you try a phony grin. All of this is the unconscious attempt to rescue you, not harm you. You may begin with tiny acts. Write down your dreams. Look for emotional triggers. Consider long-standing trends. Every time anything knocks you off balance, there is a hidden message. The unconscious communicates via symbols. Your mission now is to decode, not in a rush, not with judgment, but with presence, with a readiness to fully listen to oneself, not to console, but to face yourself. One of the most effective methods to do this is via serious writing. Sit down every day and write as if you were exposing your deepest secrets to yourself. Write down what you are embarrassed of feeling and what you are frightened to acknowledge, what you have never dared to speak aloud. Because once those words leave the prison of silence, they lose their ability to harm you. Another essential tool is the therapeutic mirror, whether with a psychologist or someone who can assist you decipher the messages your mind is telling you. Jung saw the unconscious as a living intellect rather than a rubbish dump. It wants to show you something. It wants to cure you, but it requires that you listen without filters, defenses, or excuses. Do you wish to end your suffering? Then you should quit running, because as long as you escape, misery will follow you. However, when you pause and look it in the eye, it starts to transform. It begins to alter. Then you learn something no one told you. The pain you dread so much is really a doorway. That is precisely what we shall investigate in the following section. What is the genuine significance of suffering in your life? Why does it keep surfacing even when everything seems to be under control? Most importantly, how can it become your most powerful ally on your journey to liberation? Are you prepared to find out? Then continue with me. Most individuals spend their lives attempting to relieve suffering. To avoid emotion, they take medicine, divert themselves, engage in superficial relationships, seek quick pleasure, and stockpile successes and joyful postings. But here's something no one wants to hear. Pain will follow you as long as you strive to get rid of it, since pain does not go away. It's here to be heard. Carl Jung considered pain as a summons to change, rather than a mistake in life. Pain is a warning that something is wrong inside you and needs to be noticed, cared for, and corrected. It is the soul's scream, saying, "This cannot continue." Every suffering conveys a message. Every agony is a code waiting to be decoded. Simply stop perceiving pain as an opponent and instead use it as a guide. Consider how many times life has pushed you to adjust. How many of those improvements were made for comfort? Probably none. Chaos is where the soul starts to restructure. In suffering, the mind begs for repair, and here is where genuine change occurs. According to Jung, pain must be endured in its whole before it can be transcended. In other words, suffering must be faced, not avoided. Let's make this a reality. Imagine someone who spends their whole life denying yourself in order to satisfy others. Always ready, smiling, and saying yes. This individual gradually develops feelings of worry, excessive weariness, and unexplainable unhappiness. They go to the doctor, get tests, and take anxiolytics, but nothing changes since the body is telling the mind what it refuses to accept. Living in denial of one's own reality hurts and will continue to hurt until they stop lying to themselves. Another example is someone who consistently repeats the same pattern in relationships, becoming associated with emotionally incapable individuals. Always feel rejected. I'm always left feeling inadequate. This ache is not a sign of bad luck. This is a mirror. It's life, demonstrating repeatedly that there's an old wound, maybe from childhood, that needs to be treated, and that if it is not handled, pain will continue to act as a reminder. Everything changes when you realize that suffering is a symbolic language. What seemed to be punishment turns out to be a compass. Pain starts to guide the way. And, as strange as it may seem, you understand that pain, when listened to thoughtfully, may be the most potent agent of healing because it pushes you to stop, examine, and change. This is where accountability enters in, because you now understand that avoiding suffering means disregarding yourself. Running away from suffering is abandoning oneself. But if you have the bravery to listen to it with humility, presence, and curiosity, it will take you to places you never imagined existed. A haven of tranquility, not because the world is flawless, but because you will be complete in the next section. We'll speak about this area, the other side of suffering. What happens when you stop fighting and begin to integrate everything you've rejected in yourself? True healing does not mean the absence of suffering. It is the transition of suffering into consciousness. And it is what comes next. If what you're hearing rings true for you, you'll find great value in my ebook, Beyond the Shadow. It deconstructs Jung's fundamental theories and provides methods for deeper self-understanding. The link is in the pinned comment. After so much internal struggle, something transforms softly and deeply, without pyrotechnics or spectacular disclosures. It's almost imperceptible. However, it alters the overall environment of your spirit. It's time to cease resisting. And for the first time in your life, you begin to feel whole. But what exactly does it mean to become whole? It entails accepting oneself completely, even the aspects of yourself that you dislike the most. It entails putting an end to the conflict between your emotions, the quest for perfection, and the wearing of masks. It's when you realize that your anger, fear, grief, and humiliation, all of which you've spent your life attempting to conceal, are genuine aspects of your being. When you incorporate them rather than reject them, something amazing occurs. Suffering starts to disappear. Carl Jung defined individuation as the process of being oneself without distortions, rather than becoming exceptional or distinct. A whole human being, real, authentic, and this genuineness comes not from pride, but from acceptance. It is not about discovering oneself. It is about finding oneself. Only those with the bravery to penetrate the wreckage of their own soul and restore what has been damaged may genuinely reach this level. You know that your sorrow does not define you. Thus, you no longer need to conceal it. It was the journey, not the goal. When you look back, you can see that every crisis, every fall, and every emotional breakdown had a purpose: to strip you of a lie, to force you to lose the illusion of control, to drive you to discard what was false so you could then dress yourself in reality, which is uncomfortable. It does not protect you from vulnerability. It necessitates presence. It imposes options, because now that you understand your shadow, the function of suffering, and the power of being yourself, you can no longer exist on autopilot. You will be able to plainly observe who raises you and who drains you. You will quit accepting what you previously accepted in order to avoid disagreement. You will learn to say no without feeling guilty. You will eventually say yes to yourself. This psychological transformation is subtle but profound. It is not about becoming a new person. It's about putting an end to the betrayal of your true self. And at this time, you realize what no one told you. You did not have to recover to be worthy of love. You only had to embrace yourself and stop living in scarcity, because the tranquility you sought outside was there inside. But beware, this is where many people settle. The ache has faded. The patterns have altered. Life starts to flow. The urge comes to stop there. But there is one more stage which you feel necessary, since individual healing is not complete until it translates into contribution. What do you do with your light when you've crossed through the darkness? How are you living now that you're awake? This is what we shall investigate in the last section. A purposeful decision to live differently. To live with purpose, consciousness, and duty, rather than just surviving. because now that you have been reborn, it expects more of you. Now you know you can't pretend you don't comprehend. You heard every word and felt every fact cut deep like a razor. Nevertheless, you remained. That already puts you among the few. Most people flee when the truth becomes too painful to bear. Most people opt to continue sleeping. You did not. You remained. As a result, you now have the option of continuing to repeat the same patterns that hold you back or finally taking charge of your own life. It doesn't matter how much you've endured. It doesn't matter what happened to you. What counts now is what you do with all of this, since the anguish you've endured for years may be transformed into strength. The void you attempted to fill with everything and everyone may yield fruitful stillness. And the experiences that shaped you do not have to be a jail. They may be the catalyst for your greatest release. However, there is one important point to consider. The understanding you've gained here comes with a cost. Because once you see, you cannot unsee. Ignorance is no longer an appealing choice. You have been asked to live at a higher level, and this involves responsibility. It necessitates that you stop betraying yourself and accept nothing less than what you deserve. That you don't hide behind excuses or outdated concerns. You don't have to be 100% prepared. Nobody is. All you need to do is decide. To make a decision every day. To live conscientiously. To look at oneself firmly, compassionately, truthfully, and, most importantly, to act. Because knowledge without action is only another type of self-deception. Carl Jung said that individuation, or the process of becoming entire, is a lifelong endeavor. And this may have been your first genuine step on that trip. Perhaps for the first time, you realize that you are not broken. You are currently in the building process, and the agony was not a punishment. It was a summons from your soul for you to return home. Now, what was the most impactful part of this video for you? What truth shocked you from the inside? Leave a comment below, right? As if you were making a promise to yourself. When you speak, you anchor. Who knows, maybe your experience may benefit someone else who is going through something similar right now. And if this video moved you, challenged you, or woke you up, you do not stop here. The following video is as crucial as this one. It continues what we began here. I will see you there. Dear viewers, your support through Super Chat and membership is the only source of income that keeps this channel running. If you want me to continue uploading valuable content without delays and to stay motivated in providing you with the best wisdom, I need your help. Every contribution, big or small, makes a huge difference. Feel free to donate and support Pure Wisdom so we can keep growing together. Your generosity keeps this journey alive. Thank you for being part of this amazing community. If you're enjoying the content on Pure Wisdom and find value in the messages we share, I encourage you to subscribe. Based on the latest analytics, 93.9% of viewers are watching without subscribing. By subscribing, you not only stay updated with new content, but also support the channel's growth, allowing us to continue spreading wisdom for the chosen ones. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an important message. Let's build this community together.